up-close cutout of a dick and balls. Welcome to Movie Pain or Pleasure Podcast, the show that is sometimes revolted by what it sees. I'm your co-host, Melanie, and I'm joined by a very sad, very sick AJ, and I don't have any alcohol because we're recording in the morning, but I don't know why that hasn't stopped me before. So, AJ, what movie are we talking about?
A movie that made me sick.
Yeah, he's got... What is that? That looks like dishwater.
Effervescence.
Is it Alka-Seltzer?
It's effervescence.
Okay. So
It's off-brand Alka-Seltzer.
Okay, so what are we talking about?
Fucking piece of shit. Never Back Down Revolt is the worst one so far. By far.
Yeah,
I don't even know why it's a Never Back Down movie. I think they just paid for the rights to have the name Never Back Down in
Remember Undisputed 1?
True.
Compare it to the other Undisputed movies, but unlike Undisputed, where it got better with each movie, Never Back Down got weirder and dumber, and then this fourth one was really bad. So I thought it was an interesting twist, but they had kind of a good idea, but couldn't really follow through. So I'll give a little synopsis, and then I'll let AJ do a rant, because he was ranting
I'm very angry about
the whole time. So Never Back Down Revolt was released in 2021, and we watched it on Netflix. And it's about a brother and sister from Chechnya named Aslan and Anya. And Anya is the main character, and they're trying to work odd jobs and make some money in the UK. She is a nursing student, and there's some foreshadowing going on because it shows her watching a video about the vascular system, and there's an up-close cutout of a dick and balls and the vascular system going to the prostate and the scrotum, so I think, okay, this is going to come back later. And while she's looking at things about blood vessels and dicks and balls and stuff, Aslan is an okay amateur MMA fighter. So Aslan he's in a fight, and we learn that he was supposed to throw the fight, and there's this gangster named Julian who is played by the guy who played Randall Tarley. So he says really horrible things in this really posh accent, which is very funny. It's kind of funny. Like at one point he gets angry and he says,
"Don't you threaten me, you little fuck. Tell that twat coach of yours the next time I see him, I'm going to shove his tiny little ball so far up his ass he'll be shitting spunk for a week."
Ew, gross! That's so gross, but it sounds kind of good coming out of your mouth. So, Aslan wins. It's kind of like it's a much better version in Pulp Fiction, where Bruce Willis wins the fight, so he wins the money, and then he's on the run from Marcellus Wallace.
Or even better, Snatch.
I like Pulp Fiction better than Snatch, but okay,
Snatch
yes.
Is shit.
All right. That must be like a guy thing, because it's fine. I like it.
Too.
I like it. So anyway, okay, so recommendations, Pulp Fiction and Snatch. So he wins, and his trainer runs him off. He's like, "Oh, you stupid idiot, you made a huge mistake." And so they go and talk to Julian, and there's this weird woman with him named Mariah, and she's very posh, and she takes a liking to the sister Anya after Anya beats one of his goons with like a gold vase. And she's like, "Ew, you're such a good fighter." And like, no, she's not. This is the theme through the whole movie. Anya is not a good fighter.
She's awful the whole time.
Like, anybody could take...
She loses every fight.
Yeah, I know, because he bitch slaps Aslan, knocks him down and so the sister gets mad, takes like a piece of a decoration and brains the guy with it while he's not looking, which anybody could do, whether you have fighting skills or not. So they decide to pay off Aslan's debt. They'll have Anya go to Italy and fight in a women's fighting tournament, and you get that there's some nefarious things going on, because Mariah kind of will look at her and say, "Oh, we don't want to try to hurt your face, and your face is exquisite." And I'm like, is it though? I feel so bad. Like, she's just a real human being. She's pretty, but like
she's not like stunning. Like,
no. It's like in The Dark Knight Returns. Is that the one with the Joker? The Dark Knight Rises?
It's just The Dark Knight.
Just The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger, and he swaggers in, he looks at Maggie Gyllenhaal, and he goes, "And you are beautiful." And we're like, I think you're talking about her brother Jake, which we know well from Brokeback Mountain. So anyway, we know something fucked up is going to happen. They get her to Italy, Everything is shady. There's a guy who's the fighter who's the main guard.
Michael Bisping is like one of the best parts in this.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's kind of the main goon who guards the women, and it turns out.
Wrap it up.
Okay.
It doesn't
Secret
matter.
Society is into watching women fighting, and so which they act like. Well, you know what? I'll let you rant about how rare they act like female fighting is. And the best character. Let me talk about the best character. Best character isn't this Anya chick. She could be interchangeable with anyone else. Best character is played by Neetu Chandra, an Indian actress who is either a 2nd degree or 4th degree black belt in Taekwondo. Wikipedia can't get it right, but she is a black belt. And she did some fighting, and her name is Jaya. I would rather have a whole movie about Jaya. So, end of synopsis. I have a theory as to what this movie really is, but I'll let AJ do some ranting.
So that's a setup. It doesn't really matter how it all goes down. I'll give pros. The weird Julian character is just funny.
Yeah.
As a villain, like. He's almost not even a villain in it. It's just he gets hit a lot by the brother at one point, and he's funny as shit, just cursing and being mad about him hitting him.
But in this kind of stuffy British upper-class accent, so it's very funny.
Pretty gay-coded in, like, a weird way. It's kind of funny. The actual villain is very hateable.
Oh, yeah, she's very punchable.
And Michael Bisping was good.
Yeah.
That's it. The Russian accents were understated, which I can appreciate, rather than being overstated. Mm-hmm. Although they spoke so good English, it was a little weird for them to grammatically be fucking words up and stuff. Anyway, this movie is sexist as fuck. That's my biggest problem. And the only reason we're even doing this video is because I wanted to talk shit about how sexist it is. Because the entire setup, and it's not like it was made in, it's not like the time period was like the 90s or the 80s or something. It's now. But they keep talking about like, oh, well, you know, men like to pay to have pretty women fight. Like, you gotta have, like, that's the only way dudes like women fighting. The UFC has been around with women fighters for quite a while now. And before that, there was Strikeforce, and I don't know if Pride ever had any women fighters. There's other organizations that have had women fighters for years now. And it's not like dudes can't appreciate women fighting unless they're hot as fuck, bro. Like, yeah, I want to see that girl punch that girl's face in because they're hot. That's fucking stupid. Doesn't make any fucking sense. So it's sexist against men because it suggests that we don't give a shit. So that's fucked up enough. And then the women are written so fucking stupid in this movie. Every chance they get to overpower the men, they don't do anything until the very last scene.
Well, but even with the Michael, what's his name, Bisping?
Yeah.
Even when they all gang up against him, they make a lot of wrong choices. Like, one of them has a taser, and I thought, you go tase this motherfucker right now.
Yeah, like, okay.
They end up stabbing him to death with a scalpel.
I can appreciate that they're not doing the Mulan Disney 2018, 19, whatever
yeah,
thing.
he is obviously stronger than
yeah,
them,
like he's a big dude. He would be hard for a lot of girls to beat up, but there's 3 of them going at him. Mm-hmm. And these are supposed to be smart fighters. They know how to fight. They should figure out pretty quick, like, someone get his legs and we'll take him down. It's hard to fight multiple people if you grapple them at all. It just is. It's difficult. So they should have done something like that, and they had weapons. And the entire time, it took them so long to beat him, because he kept just going like, smash, smash. Like,
well, they didn't go for like weak spots. Like at one point she punches him in the groin, and that just makes him mad. But knees, eyes, these vulnerable areas, they never go for.
There are other moments where they're alone with just him and 2 other people, another guard who's like the same size as the women, so he'd be a little bit easier, and the main villain chick, and they could bum rush him. There's like 20 of these girls in this room, and I get it, they're in a fucked up situation, but I feel like the way they're shown, they should be smart enough to then attack.
Yeah, and they okay, Never Back Down and all of these martial arts movies are supposed to show, I mean, it's just an excuse to watch great fighting. And Anya, the actress, is not good. There's a part where
She's awful.
She's awful. I mean, this Neetu Chandra is a real fighter, or she has training. There are two women who are fighting later that they don't have a lot of lines and they don't really pretty them up much.
But you can
Those
tell
chicks,
they're real martial artists.
yeah, they're real martial artists. But all the chances they give Anya to shine, like at one point she bum rushes Mariah, the main evil woman, and just kind of barely chokes her. I'm like, I would be smashing this bitch's face in. They're okay, and also the thing is, when they stop fighting, they sell them to the Albanians to work in a brothel. So not a good end for them.
So there's two things. One, the fighting actually makes the women look weak.
Okay.
Specifically,
Can I mention? So at the end, they fight everybody. Guests who are watching the fight everybody, and then there's supposed to be the showdown with Anya, and Mariah's gonna start fighting. It looks like, okay, I'm gonna be salty here, like when Sam and Tori are fighting in Cobra Kai. These girls are not trained martial artists, so I'm not gonna hold that against them, but they never do anything to make them look good. You don't want it to look so over the top that it's like freaking Scott Adkins doing a 720 kick or something. That's not believable. But also, can you make it look a little better where it's not really like elbows popping up and really weak blocks? Bad kicks.
We know women can fuck people up too. It's not like...
But even Mariah says at the very beginning, she's like, oh, not a lot of women know how to fight. I'm like, bitch, plenty of women know how to fight. Whether they're trained or not. There are women who are trained who can fight, and there are women who know how to scrap. Not every woman, not every man knows how to fight.
It's definitely less than... It's not a woman's sport. It's a dude's sport.
But they're acting like it's this novel thing for women to fight.
2021.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's all of that. I don't know if they needed more stunt doubles or something, but they make the women look weak when they fight. Like, I can't explain it. If you watch it, there's no impact on anything. And it's not like when the dudes do these scenes, they're actually hitting each other. They're pulling everything and doing the angles where you're not actually hitting each other just as much. But, like, Michael J. White and Scott Adkins make it look like dirty fucking hard fighting.
Yeah.
Like... So there's that, and here's my biggest problem. This is the women's Never Back Down. We'll go through the first three. Never Back Down 1 is Karate Kid with MMA. It's just what it is. New kid, new place, finds out about some bullies doing some weird shit, and they get in a fight, and then he's got to train with an instructor and learn how to fight. Just switch to MMA, it's Karate Kid. It's pretty good. The second one, Michael J. White filmed it in like 2 months, so some of the acting's not great, but it's Michael J. White, and it's a lot of fun, and he's a pretty fun change to the instructor person. He's kind of a dick. He tells his own students, like, punch that motherfucker in the face. He's talking shit about your mom, pick his ass up and throw him.
Is that the one where he had the cut-off gi pants that looked
Yes.
so comfortable? Yes, he inspired us to make our own cut-off Dobok pants. Yeah, because he was doing chin-ups on something and he had cut off karate pants. I'm like, that looks so comfortable. So I had an old pair of Taekwondo pants that I wasn't using, and I cut them off at the knees, and they're so comfortable.
So after that, we go to the third one, and it's Michael J. White. After he's learned to come back as an MMA fighter, he goes and trains in Thailand and has a fight. Okay, cool. There was some silliness in there, like over-the-top stuff, but cool, whatever. It follows the formulas that you kind of want. We finally get a women's one, and we can't have fun martial arts like tournaments and stuff. It has to be about sex trafficking and a lot of rapey shit and men beating the fuck out of women. Like, can women not participate in the normal fun action movies? Like, we have the serious MMA movie that I'm forgetting right now with Halle Berry.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember the name
That
of it.
one's way better. Watch that one. It's a little slow, but it is better. So that one's like serious life of a fighter. Cool. It doesn't always have to be fun and games, but it doesn't have to be fucking rape either.
Here's the interesting thing. Written and directed by women.
Yes!
Which I was just thinking about this.
It's very confusing.
What I did appreciate, because they're like, oh, we want you to look pretty and stuff. But really all they did was just like some eye makeup and put their hair in braids. They had like neck to feet outfits. So it wasn't
like
little,
rash guards.
Yeah, it wasn't little skimpy bras and little panties and Daisy Dukes and stuff. So I did appreciate that they didn't. You would think with underground sexual gratification female fighting they put them in these skimpy outfits, but maybe because it was written by women they didn't do that. So I did kind of appreciate. It was just like, oh, it's a black long sleeve leotard thing with sparkles. So that was weird, but I kind of appreciated that because there wasn't the body objectification of women in movies, which you see all the time.
I don't know, like.
Oh, and can we talk about the very end, the last part? So, just some of the shots are so dumb. So Anya finds a way, or Aslan finds a way to get hold of Anya, and Anya tells him where they are, and she's like, drop a pin, blah, blah, call Interpol, all this stuff. So after they beat the shit out of everybody, slow-mo, she and Jaya are just, they've got bruises, and they're just walking out, and all these Interpol police officers are like coming in with guns up and flashlights, and they just breeze right past them. Like okay, in any of these situations, the cops would either be like trying to make sure you're okay, or make sure you're not one of the criminals that they're at. So they're not telling them to put their hands up or putting a blanket on them or anything like that. They're just like walking out like.
This is also after these girls, deservedly, just committed a massacre or something because
those people had it coming.
Yeah, which is cool, but the cops still have questions. They'd be like, "Which side were you on?" And
yeah.
How did you escape? Tell us everything.
And
not
then,
just like, oh, not fucking with them.
Yeah, these are bad bitches. Let's give them their walkout. So then at the end, they're back in the UK, and Anya has a little caged bird, and she lets it go.
Which, okay, I do hate the idea of people keeping birds as pets, because it's literally like the most evil shit I think you can do to a particular type of animal. Is this thing is supposed to be in the sky, and you're like, you get like 1 foot to jump up to.
The only reason I'd want to have a bird as a pet is so I could teach it to say awful things.
Yeah.
Which it would probably say in front of my parents, so maybe not.
I have a fear that bird is not natively wild to that area, and she just set it out to die.
I know.
So, anyway, I fucking hated this movie. The whole time, just women making terrible decisions. It was just about trying to, like, have that women overcoming adversity thing, which is cool in some ways, but it doesn't always have to be, like, so aggressive.
Or it doesn't have to always be sexual oppression type of thing.
Like, thank you for insulting all men who have any interest or respect for actual MMA fighters that are female, or any martial arts women, by saying that, men just love to watch hot girls fight because they're hot. Like, fuck you. Like, it's fucking stupid.
Yeah. But also, if you look at this movie in a certain way, it's a much better movie. AJ thought this was dumb, but I called it. Okay, so they have the women locked up in these cages in some basement somewhere. And you start to see the archetypes come out. And Jaya, the Indian woman's kind of telling them at first, she at first isn't on board with the escape. She's like, no, this is stupid. Do you want to get us all killed? We're going to do what I say. And then Anya is meanwhile trying to comfort this other woman who we find later had been bashed in the head a couple of times. And she's kind of like, am I going to get to go home someday? It's like, am I going to get to pet the rabbits type of thing? And so she's trying to comfort her. And I'm like, this is Annie. Jaya is Pepper, the big tough girl who tries to keep everybody in line. Anya is Annie, obviously. And the other woman is Molly. Like at the very beginning of Annie, where she's singing that song Maybe, and Molly's like, Annie, I have a nightmare. And Pepper's like, oh, you shut up, Miss Hannigan's gonna come in if you don't stop crying. You know who they really need? What character they need in there? Oh my goodness!
Fuck that girl. Fucking hated that little
But
girl.
I don't think Mariah would be Miss Hannigan, because at the end of Annie, which is a much better movie, I'm talking about the 1981, got my DVD right here, Annie, starring Aileen Quinn and Robert Finney and Carol Burnett, she tries to stop Rooster from killing Annie. So Mariah is Rooster, trying to exploit these girls for money. So really, for a much better movie about girls who can actually fight, Go watch Annie.
So, but who's the chick spinning around in the background for no reason?
One of those fighters who didn't have a line, but they were actually trained fighters.
The one that was on the stage.
The
at
one
the
doing
end?
all the gymnastics and everything. Yeah.
Ugh.
Okay, so
So,
this movie, is it even worth watching? Like, out of morbid curiosity?
not really.
Not
I
really.
mean, like I said, the only person that I thought was like, okay, they did pretty good was Michael Bisping, because he's this big, imposing asshole who, like, just flat out at one point says, like, I like hurting little girls. What's up?
Yeah.
Like, come fuck with me. He gets a pretty good end, I guess. But it's baffling. I don't know why. It just feels like very sexist to both sexes. And I know 2 women wrote, directed, produced it, but sorry, you fucked up. You played yourself.
Yeah, so this was a hate watch, not recommended. So my recommendations was Pulp Fiction, if you want to say something about a fighter throwing a fight, and Annie.
Watch any of the other Never Back Downs. They're pretty good. Or Undisputed 2 through 4.
Yes. So if you want to join our fight club and be my victim, you can follow us on Instagram at Movie Painter Pleasure Podcast. Watch us on YouTube, Discord, and Twitch. You can listen to us on Anchor, Spotify, and iTunes.
Kick the next person you see in the face.